food resources. Learning about variety improvement production, improvement and protection management of crop. To increase the yield, the soil can be enriched by supplying these nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. Manure. Manure contains large quantities of organic matter and also supplies small quantities of nutrients to the soil. It is prepared by the decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste. It helps in enriching soil with nutrients and organic matter and increasing soil fertility. The bulk of organic matter in manure helps in improving the soil structure. This involves increasing the water holding capacity in sandy soils. In clayey soils, the large quantities of organic matter help in drainage and in avoiding water logging. Compost and vermicompost. The process in which farm waste material like livestock excreta, that is cow dung, vegetable waste, domestic waste, sewage waste, straw, etc. is decomposed in pits is known as composting. Compost is also prepared by using earthworms to hasten the process of decomposition of plant and animal refuse. This is called vermicompost. Now, green manure. Prior to the sowing of the crop seeds, some plants like sun hemp or guar are grown and then mulched by plowing them into the soil. These green plants thus turn into green manure, which helps in enriching the soil in nitrogen and phosphorus. Fertilizers. Fertilizers are commercially produced plant nutrients. These supply nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium to the plants. They are used to ensure good vegetative growth, that is leaves, branches and flowers, giving rise to healthy plants. Fertilizers are a factor in the higher yields of high-cost farming. They should be applied carefully in terms of proper dose, time and observing pre- and post-application precautions for their complete utilization. Organic farming is a farming system with minimal or no use of chemicals as fertilizers, herbicides or pesticides, etc. Irrigation. Most agriculture in India is rain-fed. That is, the success of crops in most areas is dependent on timely monsoons and sufficient rainfall spread through most of the growing season. Hence, poor monsoons cause crop failure. Ensuring that crops get water at the right stages during their growing season can increase the expected yields of any crop. Droughts occur because of scarcity or irregular distribution of rains. It poses a threat to rain-fed farming areas where farmers do not use irrigation for crop production and depend only on rain. Scientists have developed some crop varieties which can tolerate drought conditions. India has a wide variety of water resources and a highly varied climates. Under such conditions, several different kinds of irrigation systems are adopted to supply water to agricultural lands depending on the kinds of water resources available. These include wells, canals, rivers, and tanks. Wells. There are two types of wells, namely dug wells and tube wells. In a dug well, water is collected from water-bearing strata. Tube wells can tap water from the deeper strata. From these wells, water is lifted by pumps for irrigation. Canals. This is usually an elaborate and extensive irrigation system. In this system, canals receive water from one or more reservoirs or from rivers. The main canal is divided into branch canals having further distributaries to irrigate fields. River lift systems. In areas where canal flow is insufficient or irregular due to inadequate reservoir release, the lift system is more rational. Water is directly drawn from the rivers for supplementing irrigation in areas close to the rivers. Tanks. These are small storage reservoirs which intercept and store the runoff of smaller catchment areas. Fresh initiatives for increasing the water available for agriculture include rainwater harvesting and watershed management. This involves building small check dams which led to an increase in groundwater levels. The check dams stop the rainwater from flowing away and also reduce soil erosion. Cropping patterns. Different ways of growing crops can be used to give maximum benefit. Mixed cropping is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land, for example, wheat plus gram, or wheat plus mustard, or groundnut plus sunflower. This reduces risk and gives some insurance against failure of one of the crops. Intercropping is growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field in a definite pattern. A few rows of one crop alternate with a few rows of a second crop. For example, soybean plus maize, or finger millet, that is bajra, plus cowpea, that is lobia. The crops are selected such that their nutrient requirements are different. Field crops are infected by a large number of weeds, insect pests, and diseases. If these are not controlled at the appropriate time, then they can damage the crops so much that most of the crop is lost. Weeds are unwanted plants in the cultivated field. For example, xanthium, that is gokru, parthenium, that is gajar ghas, Cyperinius rotans, that is motha. Generally, insect pests attack the plants in three ways. 1. They cut the root, stem and leaf. They suck the cell sap from various parts of the plant and they bore into stem and fruits. They thus affect the health of the crop and reduce yields. Diseases in plants are caused by pathogens such as bacteria, fungi and viruses. These pathogens can be present in and transmitted through the soil, water and air. Storage of grains. Storage losses in agriculture produce can be very high. Factors responsible for such losses are biotic, that is, insects, rodents, fungi and mites, and abiotic, that is, inappropriate moisture and temperatures in the place of storage. These factors cause degradation in quality, loss in weight, poor germinability, discoloration of produce, all leading to poor marketability. These factors can be controlled by proper treatment and by systematic management of warehouses. Preventive and control measures are used before grains are stored for future use. They include strict cleaning of the produce before storage, proper drying of the produce first in sunlight and then in shade, and fumigation using chemicals that can kill pests. Now summary. Organic farming is a farming system with minimal or no use of chemicals as fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, etc. and with a maximum input of organic manures, recycled farm wastes and bioagents with healthy cropping systems. Mixed farming is a system of farming on a particular farm which includes crop production, raising of livestock, etc. Mixed cropping is growing of two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land. Growing two or more crops in definite row patterns is known as intercropping. The growing of different crops on a piece of land in pre-planned succession is called crop rotation. Varietal improvement is required for higher yield, good quality, biotic and abiotic resistance, shortening the maturity duration, wider adaptability and desirable agronomic characteristics. That's all in this topic. In the next topic, we will study about animal husbandry, cattle farming, poultry farming, egg and broiler production, fish production and beekeeping. So, see you soon.